me your bitch and I made you my wife. You yellow, you yell when I ball a melon, but you don't complain when I tickle your back. We're both agreeing to serve our time. If I drop the soap, I know you'll watch my crack. Please enjoy this rainbow song and this gift of leprechaun romance. And please enjoy as part of this well-balanced breakfast the lucky charms you will find in my pants. You blew me away when you sang Shock the Monkey. Your fingers inside me, let the games begin. Indigo is a tough one to bond with, but when we're apart, it's the mood that I'm in. That's right. We get along so well, we could never be compared to Jesus of Nazareth and Pontius Pilate. But if you'll endure the slight of calling me sir, I'll be Peppermint Patty to your Violet. And please let this song be your rainbow. I've got my Cialis, so I shall not fail. Please don't deny my advances, for tonight you're going to take it in the pail. It's the butt. Please let this song be a rainbow. I made it for you, this shit cuts like a knife. Forever I'll follow this rainbow to that 50-year-old sweet pot of gold that seems to grow foxy instead of old, from which I hope to never be paroled, my angel in a centerfold. She plays more than Sousa upon my fife, my jaw-droppingly beautiful wife. Thank you. I'm pleased. I have determined that I will continue with the show. Somebody had to go to the hospital that night that song premiered. It was our gardener, Jose, cut himself with a razor knife, trying to help me cut up some pizza boxes so they would fit in the recycling container. And I was exhausted because I got my dick sucked like crazy after playing that song for my wife. He was okay. Tip number 2. Thank you. I think it gets even better. Tip number 2, say please and thank you. Thank you, that's goddamn right. You have your head screwed on straight. I don't care how low of a person you are. Fan of celery, fan of 2.5 Men, Hitler, Rush Limbaugh, Larry Gergich. I'm sorry to have to soil your stage with those syllables. Fuck that guy. I don't care if you're that low of a human being. We are all brothers and sisters on this planet. We're all sharing all of this shit, no matter how many laws or like property regulations we create. we can't escape the fact that all of we bipeds are sharing the earth, the water, the air, and everything. And, you know, in some ways, we're continuing to learn and do a better job of it, but in a lot more ways, we're taking a huge shit at it. And I'm, you know, saying that much more to, my generation and myself. And I would ask you guys, you young smart people, to save the planet from assholes like me. I'm doing my best. I am, but you know, when I grew up, it was like, man, when I can afford it, I'm gonna get a vehicle that burns the most fucking gas I can find. Yeah. And I'm just gonna jump it over rivers. I was taught to wish that by television. Does anybody still ever watch Dukes of Hazzard? That's all. It was a noble pursuit. We all have to share everything, and no matter where you are, if somebody needs help with their groceries, or you can open the door for somebody, it doesn't do you any harm. It'll make your day. It'll make you feel amazing if you take time out to help people. You'll blow their minds. Oh my God, he's coming over here. What's he gonna do? He helped me? What the fuck? Am I on acid? No. I got a little time. Whoa. I'm seeing some crazy colors. What's going on, bro? What were we talking about? Number 6. And I grew up with good manners. I grew up in a low-income household. My dad was a school teacher. We had 4 kids. When I became an adult and began to pay my own bills and support myself, looking back and seeing what my mom and dad did on a school teacher's salary from like 1970 to 1990 blows my mind. The fact that they kept us all in shoes and jeans and food on the table, they were amazing. And part of the way we were brought up was to pitch in, you know? We work in the garden, we help create the meals on the table, we do the dishes, and we say please and thank you. We all share and we respect one another. The better I do, the better, cooler jobs I get, especially in Los Angeles, the more people, you would be astonished. You have a trailer, you know, on a movie set or a TV show, and the young lady or fellow will bring your wardrobe, and you say, hi, what's your name? Cassiopeia. That's a fantastic name. Nice to meet you. Cassiopeia, thank you for my clothes. When you say please and thank you to the wardrobe person, they almost fall down. And you say, are you okay? And they said, yeah, but did you just say thank you? And I say, yeah. Is that cool? She says, yeah, it's just the first time anyone's ever said that to me in their trailer. And it's unbelievable that this weird class system exists where people think they don't have to have good manners. I think that a big part of why I've achieved any success is simply because I get along with people well. I can't tell you how much good that does. When you go into an audition for anything, you know, you guys are sitting there and I come in, I'm like, how you guys doing? My name is Nick. Let's take a shot at this. Hello then. What we doing here, boys? And you do the scene, and they're like, okay. Not bad. Not only are they judging your limp, your your imagined hump and your decent Cockney. There's also a social element going on where they're like, do I like this guy? We're gonna shoot this movie in Romania for 6 months. Do I want to hang out with this dude for 6 months, very far away from the mall? And you can tell, like, I've been on both sides of the room. I've also sat and watched the auditions, and you can tell when someone's a dick, where they're like, hey guys, hey, how you doing? Great. Are you ready? You know, and you're just immediately like, I hate you. I don't care, like, oh, it's Jude Law? I don't care. Which is just a joke. I think he's supposed to be super nice, actually, but I had to throw somebody under the bus for a small laugh. You immediately can lose a job if you're a dick, and it can even happen in the waiting room. So I was brought up saying please and thank you, and I quickly learned, it's like, oh wow, it actually is a remunerative skill. So, not only is it decent to do, but it will make you money and get you fucked. How, you know, as I said, it's my first time in Arkansas. I've spent a great deal of time in Oklahoma, and thank you. It's a lot. No big deal. My wife is from there. I've spent a lot of time in Austin. Like, by the way, if we're gonna shit on Texas, which they deserve, it must be mentioned that Austin doesn't count in that. Austin's the greatest. I love Austin. Amarillo can suck on these balls. But I don't know a lot about Arkansas, other than my friend Hillary and Bill. Hillary and Bill Kabinski. They used to have a lot of Razorback paraphernalia. What did you guys think I meant? I don't know. So my question is, and especially it's going to pertain to this school. Is it as in its proximity to the South, how churchy is the room tonight? Okay, not super churchy. Well, there is some super churchy. I mean, this is my church. It's the Church of Dionysus. He is pleased with the ministry that is happening here. But no, here's why. Like, I've done a bad job. I have a book out called Paddle Your Own Canoe, which is, thank you, all 6 of you, thank you very much. It's my first book. I'm very proud of it, because the longest thing I wrote before that was probably like a term paper. And my book is 340 pages of bullshit. But still, I had to write like it's all words and punctuation. Well, here's the thing, like, I grew up Catholic, and I dabbled in born-again Christianity, which we'll talk about in tip number 8. And I'm really fascinated with, like, Christian-based religions and how they've shaped our society in good ways and bad ways. And I've done a bad job so far. Apparently in my book, people that are super churchy, and I think maybe a little closed-minded, have made some reviews online of my book that are a little bit crybaby reviews. And it makes me feel bad, because I mean to foment a discussion. I don't mean to be insulting to any religion or the Bible. We're going to talk about the Bible in a minute, and you might begin to understand why a closed-minded person could take it as an insult. But so let me preface by saying this. I think church is a great idea. I think religious writings are fantastic. They're full of lessons. I'm the guy standing here saying, you guys, you should say please and thank you. It will make you more successful in life. That's kind of what religious writings are. They can all be boiled down to be like, you know what, everybody, don't be a dick. Everybody be cool. Like, if there's 17 people and 8 apples, divvy that shit up. It's kind of common sense. That's what religious writings are, and they're great. I mean, and they exist in every culture. The Tao Te Ching and Battlestar Galactica, and the Redux, Grimm's fairy tales, all of those things. They have great lessons from which we can learn. And all churches are a great idea, but all they are is like a club of like, hey everybody, let's read this book of rules or these teachings, then let's get together, let's say every Sunday, in this big book club barn, and we'll pick one dude who like has read the book the most, or lady, and he'll be like, okay you guys, let's talk about in chapter 17 of Battlestar Galactica. You know, and all church is reminding, we're animals. We're animals. You can't escape the fact that, like, deep inside, your body is telling you, you should check out that cheerleader. You should fucking put a baby in that shit. Put a baby in her mouth tonight. If you say that your body's not telling you that, you're lying. That's a sin, by the way, in some religions. I'm not here to judge. That's what, we're animals, you know? You're standing in line at the food truck and your body is saying, if you kill this Latino family, then you can have all the bratwurst for yourself. And socialization, beautiful socialization, is how we've learned as a people to be civilized, to be like, don't put a baby in her mouth without getting to know her, without her permission. Don't kill anybody, even for bratwurst. We've had to learn this, and church is just a book club that's like, all right guys, thanks everybody for coming. Let's talk about chapter 17. Don't fucking kill your neighbor so that you can put a baby in his wife's mouth. Let's back in the book of Fallopians for let's open our books to Deuteronomy 69. Two of my favorite verses. That's what church is, and I think that's a great idea. That's that notion of like, let's get together and remind ourselves to be cool. Yes, because human nature works against that. Human nature is like, even if there's just 2 humans sleeping in a cave and there's a fire and the fire is dying, human nature is like, I'm just gonna pretend I'm asleep. So you have to go get firewood. That's human nature. Like, you're always gonna look for the easy choice. And I think all of that's a great idea. That's my preface. Now, the Bible is the religious writings that I've by far read the most of and know the most about. And there's lots of it's an amazing book. It's full of amazing stories. And if you're not of the Christian faith, here's where they get mad, or you guys, if you're here, where you get mad. And this is where I don't mean to offend, this is the discussion I want to open. If you're not of the Christian faith, then you have to understand that these stories in the Bible, where these dudes are like, 2,000 years ago, these dudes are like, okay everybody, turning this book in. I did not write it. There's a supernatural power. It told me to write this, and it told me what to write. It lays down some rules. He does. It's not my idea. Part of the thing is, you should give our organization 10% of your earnings, and there's some eternal life issues where, like, if you don't do what he told me to write in this book, you'll burn in this lake of eternal fire. It must be some sort of petroleum lake. It's down from here. I don't know. I'm the messenger. But you can't escape that notion that people turned in this book. Now, that's fine. It's a great book. They did a great job. It is beautiful. I mean, it's incredible that it was written 2,000 years ago, because it's full of amazing, amazing stuff. But there's stuff in there that I think is not so great. And the fact that we, in our country, treat the Bible as though it's the Constitution. We treat the Bible as though it's law. That makes me mad. For example, the book of Leviticus. And what I have not done that has resulted in, like, the crybaby things from the people about my book is I haven't done a good enough setup where I say, no, the Bible's great. I totally am not dissing the Bible. But have you read the book of Leviticus? And the book of Leviticus is the book of the Bible that details all the punishments for menstruating women, for example. I think at least half of you would agree that's wrong. It literally, in the book of Leviticus, says that if a woman, in there it says, when her flowers be upon her, she is unclean. She must be cast out. If she touched the linens must be burned. If she sat in a chair, the chair is fucked. Leviticus, look it up. False, that doesn't say fucked in there. But it does legitimately say, and depending on the translation, it says, she may be, if a woman should be so unclean, don't worry, ladies, if you should be so filthy as to experience menses, you may be exonerated, according to Leviticus, by bringing 2 turtles to the priest at the temple. Some translations have it as 2 turtle doves, some have it as 2 doves. Whatever, what the fuck is that? What is going on in that society where they're like, ooh, she's got this stuff coming out of her. How can we profit from this? And in what coin would we prefer to be paid? Turtles. Methinks. 2 turtles. 4 would be showing our hand. The thing that drives me the craziest about that is, what value did turtles possess that we've lost track of? I have torn open so many beautiful turtles, looking for a pearl or spermaceti. What is it? What was it? They are delicious. But that's in the book of, also in the book of Leviticus. And this is a quote. It's one of the places in the Bible that tells us that homosexuality is an abomination. And here's the quote. If a man lies with a man as one lies with a woman, they have done what is detestable. They must be put to death. The Bible. That makes me mad. That people are standing on the Bible as though legislation should be based upon it, when it says bullshit like that. I agree with you. It makes me very angry. These dicks that wrote Leviticus were like, yeah, hang on, yeah, 1 second, please. she can be made clean by bringing 2 turtles to the temple. Yeah, what do you got? 2 what? 2 bros, excuse me? They were what? Oh, Jesus. That's so not cool. Yeah. No, turtles are not gonna cut it. Yeah, I don't know what choice we have. Kill them. A full-on act of love? Yeah, kill them. What the fuck? I don't know. I think, I'm glad that this issue is finally on the table and we're evolving and seeing some progress, because it's only 2014. It's only, several decades since we shitty white people stood up and said, oh, you know what, sorry you guys, totally our bad. Everybody can ride the bus, like everyone. Totally Use the water fountains, yeah, sorry, we were confused for a few centuries because we owed you like chattel and, treated you like farm animals, but I guess all humans are the same and deserve the same treatment. But it's 2014 and we're still having this debate of like, so let me get this straight. That 2 people, they love each other, they want to have like a household and be even kids and be productive members of society. Sounds good on paper. I can see you play a good game, but have you read Leviticus? Do we give them the same rights as conservative married assholes, or do we kill them? I'm torn. I'm glad it's getting some attention. I'm glad that, things like same-sex marriage and the ridiculous issue of legalizing marijuana is finally what could be dumber? I'll tell you what could be dumber. Prohibition was dumber. Our federal government was like, nobody drink. Hey, everybody. No more drinking. I get it, I get the notion, but that has to be laughed out of Congress immediately. And yet still, it's 2014 and our government is like, nobody smoke weed. And we're all behind the garage like, okay, we'll stay behind the garage. No one grow this plant that is part of nature. No. Tobacco, yeah, man, fucking John Q Tobacco. Another $10 million, please, thank you. Yeah, tobacco's cool. It will give you cancer, but marijuana, no. And it's astonishing to me that in my lifetime, 3 states now have some level of legalization. That's insane. It's so hilarious to me. I love, in California, there are hot stores. And it's so open now that they have these big open windows on the sidewalk. So even if you don't have a card to get it medically, which is the way it's legal there, you can stand on the sidewalk and watch cute girls, and you can imagine what they're saying, like, oh, you want to get really super fucked up? Try this crazy skunky blueberry kush. And the customers are like, they're shopping literally at a cupcake store. And I stand on the sidewalk and just cry. And then I go in there, because I have anxiety problems, you guys. Bullshit. I need to tell the doctor, so he can tell the fucking president that it's okay to smoke some fucking weed. Hey. Anyway, I'm glad that these issues are finally getting some attention, but I'm a little upset about all the hubbub, all the ruckus about same-sex marriage. Yes, it deserves attention, but all the while, this whole time, vegetarians are marrying, bearing children, right in your community. Their filthy, herbivorous urchins are prancing down your sidewalks with a canvas bag full of kale. It's bullshit. You're making a mockery of the sanctity of eating animal flesh, and it should not stand. A meal is a covenant between a man or woman and a charred piece of animal flesh, with or without sides. They call the Bible a good book. Now, the thing is, I'm totally down. Like, I think there should be a public discourse about the Bible, and I would love to get all of this straightened out, because right now, part of our government thinks the Bible should be used in government and like schools and shit. Even, I mean, let alone creationism, which is the most pot shit. Like, that's what I'm driving at. Is like, look, you can believe whatever you want to. I don't care if you're a super evangelical Christian or a Satanist or anything in between. Great. I myself worship Play-Doh and Teletubbies and Sesame Street. Like, Elmo is my god, and fuck you. If you don't like that's my god, so go fuck yourself. That's great. You have freedom. That's your freedom to worship at whatever altar you want to. I'm never going to be such a cunt as to bring Elmo into the State House and be like, you guys, I want a fucking statue of Elmo in front of the state capitol. Why not? Why not? He should be on the flag. Fuck you guys. He's cute. Elmo like Arkansas. What makes me mad, so I don't, whatever you talk about in whatever your church of choice is, great. Keep it in there is all I'm saying. The fact that if I go into a courtroom to testify, which I often do, and I say, okay, everybody, here's how it went down. And I'm very observant, so this is going to be terrific testimony. The judge says, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't give a shit what you have to say. I'm not going to believe a word of it until you put your hand on that book that says we should kill faggots. Sorry, just like this? Like this? Yeah, raise your other hand. Oh, okay. Does that complete the hocus pocus? Yeah, now repeat after me. I'm fucking diligent. Now you believe what I say? Does no one else see? Okay, so everything cool? Do I light some sage or no? Do we eat a cracker? Do we drink some fucking juice? Okay, so now you can believe the facts that before I touched the book were irrelevant. Okay, that's what makes me mad. That's all I'm saying. It's archaic. I understand that was created when we were like fucking burning witches in Salem. And, you know, and this is the same church that committed the Spanish Inquisition. Does everyone know what an anal pair is? Do a little reading on Torquemada and the Spanish Inquisition. They literally, the anal pair is a pear-shaped device made of metal fingers that's inserted, that's right up the poop chute. And then when you crank the crank, the fingers expand. Want to be a Christian now? You fucking goddamn right you do. No? Crank it. Now do you, I mean, that's all I'm saying is I get it. I get that we've like made some mistakes in our application of religious thought. But we have to keep an open conversation going and say, hey, what if we just come up with an oath in the courtroom? I mean, and have somebody say, I swear on whatever is holy to you guys that I'm telling the truth. Why do we have to touch a certain percentage of the people's magic book? That's all I'm driving at. They call it the good book, and I find it a little bit uneven in places. You know what is a good fucking book? The Hobbit. That is a good fucking book. Instead of basing any legislation on the Bible, I think we should found some on the writings of John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Elrond was elected to lead the elves at Rivendell, not only despite his androgynous nature, but quite likely because of the inherent leadership in a well-appointed bisexual elf wizard. That's the dude you want picking shit out for your community. Who do you want running your gala? A Mormon or David Bowie? The arithmetic is not hard. Was Elrond in a gay marriage? We don't know, because it's none of our goddamn business. Whatever he got up to in the bedroom with his crazy purple velvety elvish genitalia, he left it in the bedroom. It's nobody's business. That's the best thing about libertarianism is if it's on your property and you're not hurting anybody or anybody's property, you can do whatever the fuck you want to. And it's nobody's business. It's no one's business. Look at all of our leaders, especially church leaders, who are up to the most, like molesting altar boys, and they're like, oh, "Sorry, I didn't realize that these rules apply to me because I'm touched by God." If a senator, if a lawmaker is sitting at his desk or her desk and trying to write this law that's really fair, it's about immigration, and they've done all the math. What a headache! What a thankless job. You have to try and get a law through that's right and good for everybody. That's hard. So they're sitting at their desk, they're writing this law. Let's say it's a guy for the purpose of this anecdote. And he's frustrated, and it's lunchtime, and he says, Gladys, Steve, I'm going home for lunch. I'll be back. And he walks home because he lives near his office in Washington, D.C. And he stops by the Whole Foods, and he gets a beautiful ripe cantaloupe. And he takes it home to his kitchen, and he cuts a hole in it, and he chamfers the edge of the hole because a cantaloupe rind can really rend the epidermis, especially the sensitive raw epidermis around the foreskin of a penis. He throws it in the microwave for 2 minutes and 20 to 30 seconds. Do not exceed 240. The pulpy center will hurt your feelings. But quick. Takes a hard-boiled egg, he slices it just so to make 2 eyes. Lays a bowl of spaghetti over her head and enjoys a fruit salad for lunch. He calls her Susie. He relieves a great deal of stress. He goes back to his office with an extra spring in his step and renews his vigorous work on this law. I don't care that he fucked a melon for lunch because he didn't hurt anybody. I'd much rather have him making love to produce than children or, frankly, animals, because that, I think, crosses the line. Unless it's consensual. Which sometimes it is. You know they want it. That's all I'm saying is it's nobody's business what happens in the bedroom. No matter, Even on a long road trip to the Dragon's Mountain lair, the citizens of Middle-earth always stay in a pretty good mood. They don't forget to say please and thank you, especially because they're often loading their pipes with long bottom leaf. Seems to be a key ingredient. But no matter what, they never lose their manners. I think you get it. Please and thank you. Tip number 2. Number 3. Carry a handkerchief, handkerchief, or hanky. That's what I got tonight. My agents, my film of this show just premiered at Sundance, so these hilarious jokes will be available to you in recorded form. It'll probably be on some channel. But to celebrate Sundance, my agents gave me these handkerchiefs. On one side is a pig embroidered, and it says Ham Dance 2014. On the back are embroidered an assortment of quotes by Theodore Roosevelt. I have 2 of them on me to double my chances of pleasing you. The first one says, "It is hard to fail, but it is worse never to have tried to succeed." Teddy Roosevelt. The other one says, "I wish to preach not the doctrine of ignoble ease, but the doctrine of the strenuous life." Good night. Thanks, everybody. Let me see if I can. A third one that I don't have on me says, I'm going to paraphrase because I won't get it perfectly right, but it's really good. It says, "Endeavor, if you can, if it's honorably possible not to hit, then don't hit, but never hit soft." Handkerchiefs, my dad had 2 rules when I was a kid for me. Number 1, wear a clean white t-shirt every day. Number 2, always carry a handkerchief. I said, "Dad, you can wear a clean white t-shirt and look like a nerd or Ron Swanson. I'm gonna show a little chest bush and look like motherfucking McConaughey." Sadly, the truth is a little more somewhere in between Chickless and Sizemore. A weird Belushi cousin. Galifianakis' plumber. But Dad, I will not forsake the handkerchief. And ladies always say the same thing to me. I know it's considered a man's accessory, but ladies, you got room in your clutch or handbag for a pleasing square of cotton. They say, "I don't want to carry around a rag full of snot in my purse." Nor do I. No one does, generally. I think Jeffrey Dahmer liked. Percentage-wise, no one does. But I do want to have a nice, clean square of cloth, so when someone at the bus stop has a web of mucus between their hand and face, because we've all been there, you bust that thing out, you save the day. When someone's tears need drying, use it as a tourniquet when severed artery is in front of you. Be a hot pad for changing the smoking magazine on your anti-tank weapon. Poke it into your hand to make a tidy pouch. Use it to collect acorns and pussy willows. Or bear's teeth down by the fight. I think this might just be my first hit. Right? This is for my dad. How's it go? Keep a handkerchief in your pocket. That was my father's rule. It looked bitchin' on my neck in Cub Scouts, and it saved my bacon in school. Cause when I'd get whooped in a fight, I'd never soil the floor. I'd wrap it around my knife handle tight, and even the fucking score. These can make you seem polite or wipe ejaculate from your chin. Or when you break and enter, erase the prints from where you've been. For gravy or mud or even menstrual blood, it can protect your eyes from a spunky flood. You just gotta have your hanky for wiping your tears when you wish you could still get hard after all of that wine. And when you run out of toilet tissue, a hanky will do just fine. For a sniffle or a sneeze, it'll shoo away bees. When you have to suck a dick, it's a cushion for your knees. You just gotta have your hanky. Justin Bieber, use your hanky as a gag. He can play the naughty sweeper and clean your chimney with a sooty rag. When your lover has been pleased, it'll wipe away the cheese and the suppuration from your venereal disease. Hey, you just gotta have your hanky. Dad, I always carry my hanky. Thank you. Separation, good word. An excretion, pussy excretion. That's what this shit is like. The words issued forth from his maw like a separation of vocabulary. And now I shit. Number 3, carry a hanky. Number 4, eat red meat. Number 5. Number 5 is get a hobby. But a hobby is a very valuable thing in a person's life, but it's a terrible word. It's a word that doesn't sound right, like underpants. Both amazing things, terribly represented by their words. Now, on one hand, hobby shares a root with the word hobbit, which could not be a more charismatic assemblage of consonants and vowels. It just doesn't sound right. So instead of hobby, hey, you guys want to take care of your hobby? Does your hobby involve underpants? Instead of hobby, I'm going to use the word discipline. Get a discipline. I can't tell you how enriched my life has been. And it's important to point this out. When I was 16, when I was 20, I didn't know that I was going to become a woodworker. I didn't know that I was going to be fucking completely besotted with woodworking. I didn't know that. I was taught to use tools. I could build a barn, I framed houses, and I learned to use tools, and I was lucky enough that I was athletic and strong, so I could use my brawn and my tools to make money. And that was great. I definitely dug that. You make good money in the trades, especially when you're young, compared to, say, working at a shitty fast food restaurant or something like that. If you can lay asphalt, which I also did, if you can pour concrete, which I also did. Now, if you're not brawny, there are other things you can do. You can sew, you can cook, you can make music, all of which are really rewarding things.
I love to sew. You might not guess that about me. I'm fucking good at sewing. And if you were ignorant, you might say something misogynistic or macho to me about my love of sewing. And I would say, when your button pops off, and you can make it fast once again, that's pretty badass. Suck it. All of those things are incredibly noble. Cooking? Come on. Even if it's just on a grill, especially if it's on a grill. These are very noble skills. Now, like I said, when I was young, I didn't know that it was going to become my life's romance when I'm away from my wife. But it did, and here's the thing. When my parents said to me, okay, we're going to support this insane decision that you're going to go into theaters, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but please just make sure you can still make money. And I did. When I got into theater, I loved doing things with my hands. So I built scenery, I sewed costumes, I hung lights, I did everything. I did makeup, I did prosthetic makeup, I built props. And in all of those ways, mainly scenery, I was able to make money while I learned to be a decent actor. All through college and the first year or two in Chicago, so about the first 6 years of me applying to myself, to my chosen profession, I sucked at it. And it's not false modesty, like ask anybody that went to college with me. I was bad. So I was trying too hard. I didn't have my head in the right place. My problem was I thought that this kid from a farm town was in with all these Chicago and suburban kids, that what I had to offer couldn't be valuable. So I tried way too hard to be like, hey, what's up? I do things in a much cooler way than, that hayseed Nick. When I act in something, I'm fucking incredibly mannered and trying way too hard. And for years, people were like, what the fuck are you doing? Can you please hang that door in the wall while we get back to good acting? And eventually I figured that out, thankfully, and have achieved the level, I think, of decency or adequacy, which I love. But the whole time I was able to make a living building things. Now, if there's there's two things I could send you away with tonight. The first one would be, whenever I tell young people when they ask me anything about advice or how can I do anything, I say, listen, no matter if you go to college or not, wherever you are, if you can figure out what it is you love to do, and it doesn't include masturbation, and it doesn't really include like video games. Some people do get paid for those activities. Set your goals a little higher. If you have to fall back on one of those, so be it. Figure out what you love to do, and then figure out how you can get paid to do it in some sort of related way. And, some people will be lucky enough to be amazing singers, and they'll actually get paid to sing. But a great many more people won't, win that lottery, but maybe they'll teach a singing class, or maybe they'll just teach a music class, or they'll run a 4-H club, or somehow they will bring creativity into the world. And that, to me, is incredibly holy and remunerative. If you can foster, let's get off our asses and do something, and make something beautiful, rather than like lock ourselves in our bedrooms. There are people all around you in this community. I urge you, and even on this campus, and even in this room, there are people making shit. And it runs the spectrum. Some are making spaghetti, some are making stained glass windows. Find them, applaud them, and support each other. Be like, wow, those are amazing cowboy boots you've cobbled. If you'll come over here, I'm coopering barrels. what if we pack a bunch of boots in a barrel and send it to Europe? And that's as much as I've got, but maybe someone in the travel agency classes could help us figure out, I don't know. But everywhere I go, the thing I love about our nation is there's this American spirit of like, there's people sitting in the closet making arrows and like leather belts, and those people are very Jeffersonian, because when the shit goes down, we're not gonna be able to buy any shit from China anymore, and that's a great thing, I think, because a community that has to support itself and make its own boots is a much stronger community. The other thing I would tell you, the first thing is figure out what you love to do and figure out how to get paid to do it. The second thing is read Wendell Berry. He's a Kentucky agrarian. He's the best living American writer. He's amazing. And he's got poetry, essays, and fiction. It'll blow your mind. His common sense will make you cry and laugh and vomit. But mostly cry and laugh. And one of the things he talks about, which I really appreciate, is how since the Industrial Revolution, we've been sold this bill of goods that hard work is beneath us. It's a trick of advertisers, it's a trick of capitalism that they're like, man, these people are fucking idiots. I'm gonna sell them a new vacuum cleaner every 2 years. And they do, they're like, hey, you guys, you don't need to be working hard, like getting your muscles all sore, chafing your hands. Sit down on this Easy Boy recliner chair, enjoy a quarter pounder, while our expensive robot takes care of all your chores. We've been duped by this notion that any kind of work, especially if it's outside or requires tools or gets you dirty, that's low, that's beneath you. You hire someone to do that bullshit. And what I learned, not on purpose, growing up broke on a farm, was to do all these things. And as I became an adult, people were like, you can use a shovel? Did you just dig that hole? How did you do that? Don't you have to call someone? And I would build a deck, or I'd build a porch, or repair a railing. They'd be like, how the fuck did you? What dark magic do you know? And I was literally, when I started theater school, all the actors had to take scene shop class as freshmen. We had to like learn all the different disciplines. I was the only kid in the 16 in my class that could use a hammer, that could drive a nail. And I was like, and this is 1988. I can't imagine what's going on now. But I was like, we've become that soft that like most people don't know the difference between a standard and a Phillips head screwdriver. Like people can't build a fence. That's just boards this way and some more boards that way. Think about it. And so that's why Wendell Berry speaks to me so profoundly. I mean, the breadth of his writing is incredibly eloquent and all-encompassing. He has, when President George W. Bush took the diuretic shit that he called the Patriot Act, Wendell Berry's response to that was so eloquent and delicious, because he's just saying, look, what good is it doing our government to just keep us in a state of fear in order to make us do things and in order to take away more of our liberties? His writing is incredibly refreshing, and I'm telling you, if there's anything you take away from tonight, check out some Wendell Berry. The stuff that he says about hard work being beneath us really affected me profoundly, and it's a big reason why I still, even though I make a very nice living as an actor now, I still have this wood shop that I will never give up, because it keeps me attached to my family and it keeps me attached to myself, and that is a person who works with his body and makes things with his hands. The money I get from building a table, I don't give a shit about, but the pay that I get from building a table, the magic involved in taking a pile of wood and making this out of it, that allows me to go like this. Look at that shit. Before I built that, oh fuck. That's the option that's open to me. Boom, motherfucker. You know what else I put on there? Steak. You know what I can do with it? Cut it. That will bear up under fucking cutting. And you can fuck on that thing. See what I'm driving at? The wood shop's gonna have some new applicants tomorrow. That's all I'm saying. I get a chance to talk to you guys. I'm gonna tell you that I make stuff with my hands, and I think that makes me prosperous and happy. In this society where we have these amazing new gadgets, we all have one in our pocket. I'm speaking directly into some of them even now. And they're amazing, and I think the good part of them is like that kind of technology will continue to connect the planet in a way that is it's slow, but we're evolving where it's like, okay, at some point we've all got to be cool to each other. Turns out there's a whole bunch of people who have no water to drink, and we're like, oh God, my fucking Nikes are not here yet from Zappos. That we're going to continue to try and find a balance between those two stasis. Stacy's. I'm going to go with Stacy's. Fuck it. I'm a creative. But the bad thing about these gadgets is that they tap, and this is, some of this is cribbed from Wendell Berry as well. He talks about some of the human condition is that it's natural if you're complacent or less, which I think if you are achieving climax, sexual climax, then you're pretty down with wherever you are. You're blowing your load, the ladies are spraying. That's how everybody does it, right? If you're on your 7th or 8th crop dust of the living room, you're feeling pretty good. Everything's pretty cool in that moment. Or if you're like drinking single malt scotch or eating steak or bratwurst, then everything's pretty peachy keen. For the rest of the time, even if you're complacent, if you're like, I am satisfied with my place, with where I am, the human condition is, there's always an idea that, but you know what? I bet it'd be pretty fucking awesome someplace else. And we have this idea, it's human nature, and now that media allows us to see incredible photos and footage of anywhere in the world or anywhere in the universe of anyone's imagination, we have these things in our pocket where we can go look at Tucson at any point. And I don't know if you guys know about Tucson, but it's the shit. And so, you know, if you're bored in class, if you're riding the bus, and you know, maybe you don't want to look at Tucson, maybe you're trolling through things like Facebook and Twitter and that stuff. You fill the lulls in your day with like, wonder what's going on, wonder if there's something better somewhere else. And how much time do you then burn? Now I've literally have never seen Facebook, which I'm pretty happy about. And I also avoided Twitter, but finally I started doing this and I wrote a book. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna try it. Aziz told me about Twitter. It's a channel by which I can tell all of the people signed up to hear it, hey, I'm coming to your town, I have a book out, whatever. It makes sense doing what I do to try it. So I tried it, and after just a couple weeks, I noticed that I was like addicted. Like as soon as it'd be like, okay, I'm performing a transaction with another person. Okay, we're done with our transaction. Just immediately was like, what's going on in my gadget? And then I began to note it. At first I was like, oh, these 3 people are really funny. So I'll see what they say. Yeah, that is funny. And then, well, there's these other 17 people. Yeah, that was not bad. And then, 7 minutes has gone by, and now my focus is required again somewhere. I have to do the dishes or whatnot. I've finished the dishes, what's going on in Tucson? And after a couple weeks of that, I was like, how much time did I just fucking waste literally trolling through nothing because I have it in my pocket, because I have this notion of maybe there will be something terrific. So that made me mad, because that's when I used to read books, and that's when I used to communicate with the people standing in front of me. And it's so funny, like on a film set now, when we're not shooting, you can look around, and if there's 50 people, 37 of them, they're all like facing each other, just completely in their phones. And it made me really mad. So I said, fuck you, Twitter, this is bullshit. I quit. Then the whole summer went by, then I was getting ready to start another tour again, and my assistant pointed out to me that, like, when I quit, I don't know, I had 30,000 people, and in the 6 months of silence, I now had 90,000 people. I was like, what the fuck is that about? People are easy to satisfy. But I said, well, I'm starting a tour, I'd be dumb not to take advantage of communicating to these 90,000 people. So I made an announcement, and I said, I'm coming back on Twitter. I'm going to disseminate information, but I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to read it and like chat with 1 million people, like, because that Aziz warned me against it. He was like, don't get into it because it consumes all of your time, and at no tangible gain. And so I've done that. I continue to use it as an announcement channel, and I try to be funny now and again to keep the flypaper sticky. Because I'm in the business of like, hey, I want to entertain you guys. I'm coming to your town. But the thing that I feel like those gadgets do, it's kind of like when TV hit in the 50s and 60s and 70s. People suddenly took their time between dinner and bed and were like, wow, I used to read books, I used to hang out with my family, I used to play charades, I used to fuck cantaloupes. Said a smaller percentage of the people. All of that went by the wayside. Now we watch 4 hours or 3 hours of primetime television. That's what everybody's doing. And that, I think, is bad. And I think that it's accepted that, like, man, this is awesome. Everybody plays Angry Birds when they don't have to do something else. And that there's a complicity that since we're all doing it, it makes it okay. And I don't judge it. That's great. Do whatever you want to. I mean, fuck a melon. Great. It's your time. Do what you want with it. I'm just suggesting that if you find something productive, at the end of your thing, you may have a high score, or you may have like seen a funny picture of a kitten fucking a cantaloupe. At the end of my thing, I've built a horizontal plane off of which I can eat steak and eat pussy. That's all I'm saying. Instead of playing draw something, fucking draw something. That's all I'm saying. Take the cleverness you apply to, what, I don't even know, I can't keep up. Candy Crush, fucking clown, Tetris, whatever the fuck it is. Take the passion you apply to that. What is it called? Candy Crush. I can't even, this feels horrible in my mouth. Hey, you guys want to check out Candy Crush? That's my hobby. I like to play at my underpants. Doesn't matter. Take the passion you apply to that and apply it to making some fucking cornbread. Cornbread with friends. Play that shit. Everybody wins that game every time. Do what you will. I mean, this out, but in figuring it out, I spent a lot of time stroking my penis to feel the pleasurable sensations that it gives me. And then I was like, you know what? That was great, but these books are really good. And I don't get blisters from reading books. That's all I'm driving at. The act of doing something with your hands. Will bring you incredible pleasure and satisfaction. Just like eating pussy. I'm between songs for this number 5, Get a Hobby. So let's see what happens. I'm switching. My friend Cornmo, who is an amazing musician, cornmo.com. Please avail yourself of his talent. He's an amazing showman. He helps me figure out my songs. He wants me to do an entire album of woodworking themed songs. I have a piece of one. I'm gonna try and not take a shit on this. Just wrote this. I measure very, very carefully, it's true, but my pencil doesn't provide the clearest view. I could really see it better in red or blue, so I tighten my twine, I chalk the line. Smooth transition. Make a Chippendale chair, a crest rail should hit the post right there. Probably could get it righter. One of these angles needs to be slighter. I could make this effing chair if I were brighter. The way it's lining up, I've seen vaginas that were tighter. Burns, burns, burns. The compound miter. The compound miter. Work in progress. Thanks for being a part of it. I'm milling up some maple, that's Oregon big leaf. A planer found a staple, my brother's gonna get some grief. I find him in the break room, drinking the coffee I provide. When I told him about the metal, he knew enough to run and hide. There's more. Look, it's gonna be great. When it comes out. But here's the song that used to go there. I already played that part. On the internet, our thoughts all intersect, but not every opinion is rendered with respect. So you have to wade through all of the shit that is incorrect. I choose not to malign, I stay offline. I studied theater and elocution for several years. I'll do King Lear right now, you'll be reduced to tears.
First, please listen to this comment from a guy who works at Sears. Offerman is not funny. Offerman is a pathetic joke. Someone please tell Offerman that he's ruining every moment he's on the screen with his ugly monster pig face, especially with Aubrey Plaza, who is so fucking hot and should be my wife. That hardly seems benign. I stay offline. I prefer to spend my time in the out of doors, or I'll mill up some oak and make you a chest of drawers. My wife and I will use one another like whores, with hobbies like mine. I stay offline. I spent years perfecting my recipe for cheese grits. Also, Megan and I like to suckle at each other's tits. I jam my balls inside her so deep that it gives her the shits. Yes, this life can be fine if you stay offline. Have some whiskey, have some weed, or have some wine. Stay offline. I was weak. That's why I love my marriage. I was working on that song, and I ran through the lyrics for Megan in our kitchen, which is where everyone figures everything out. And she said, it's funny, I like it. I think that one part should be dirtier, like we should suck on each other's tits or something. And I said, I love you. And I wrote that in, and then of course, I thought that was really funny, but then I had to top it. So I wrote the part about shoving my balls inside her. And I recited it back to her, and she fell on the floor laughing. And I said, I think we're gonna stay together. Lady. Number 5, get a hobby. Number 6, go outside, remain. You were right, this potato water is packs a punch. Arkansas potato water. Number 7. My ass is seriously kicking in. Totally kidding you guys. Number 7, avoid the mirror. God, we are vain motherfuckers. Again, it's 2014, and we have not figured out, because of those motherfucking magazine covers, that we shouldn't get stressed out about what we look like. Like, it blows my mind. Why am I surprised? I'm in fucking show business. I'm surrounded by people who get paid to care about what they look like and stress out about it. Nonetheless, when people get upset, but it's not just in show business, they're everywhere in the world. People look in the mirror and they look at this. The mirror should be a maintenance tool. The mirror should be for checking to see if you have shit on your face. It's not. It's so much more nefarious than that. You can imagine off the back of your mirror the conduits running straight into tunnels that connect to the magazine stands and the TV commercials and all that bullshit. All that fucking filth is channeled right into the back of your mirror. So when I see this, I don't just see this. I see this, and I also see what I'm told this is supposed to look like, which is Keira Knightley. And I try to...
No dice. And I say, this shit is not gonna cut it. Everywhere I look, the world of popular culture is telling me this is fucked up. This is flawed. I suck. I don't deserve love, is what the world is telling me. And so I don't look in that fucking mirror. I go like, oh, you're full of shit. And I go instead see people that love me, and I'm like, hey, I love you. You love me? Great. Let's make some fucking tables. That's all. The part of society that has us all, I mean, and it's pervasive. I mean, you can't help it. I have honestly gotten good at, the world will tell you if what you're doing is working or not. You don't have to fucking study yourself in the mirror and get upset about it. Because all that results in is you spending a lot of money and stress on fucking Rogaine. How is Rogaine the male insecurity about losing one's hair is so powerful that a fucking placebo product called Rogaine is still completely successful. It's like, no, look at these pictures in the magazine. See how this guy doesn't have much hair, and then the next picture he has more. So you might want to spend a few hundred to find out if it will get you laid to have 2 more rows of follicles. Everybody's got to try and make... Oh, sorry. I think Larry the Cable Guy is down the street. At the wrong concert. Friend, give this man his money back. It blows my mind. If you have a human body, then you're beautiful. That's the math. In this... If you're created by nature, that's what they don't want you to remember, is everything nature makes is beautiful. If you take a leaf from every tree and line them up, the elm leaf looks pretty fucked up next to the sycamore, but the elm leaf is not worried about it. Like, man, look at that fucking sycamore. All pointy and different colors and shit. I'm just an oval. The leaves don't think that. The leaves are like, I'm gorgeous. And you can't find a leaf that's not beautiful. You can't find a snowflake that's not beautiful. And we're the same thing. The problem is people making money are like, you're no snowflake. You're fat. Buy our shit. Don't look like Keira Knightley? Better give me some money. And we listen. So many of us listen. If you understand that you're beautiful, people will love you. It doesn't matter if you look like Keira Knightley or like I do. If you're not getting the love that you think you deserve, wash it. Up the hygiene. That's all. We have a mirror in our foyer by the front door, and the table under the mirror is where I keep my keys and my pocket items. And on my way out the door, I grab my keys and my knife and my vice grips and chiclets. And I look in the mirror, great, and I head out the door. If I have leaves in my hair, that should be addressed. That's where I draw the line. That's it. Avoid the mirror. Number 8. Oh boy. Number 8. Maintain a relationship with Jesus Christ if it is getting you sex. I do enjoy that pause. Ornery of me, but I enjoy it. Because in that pause, there's a palpable, I can hear people thinking, what? 8, you guys. Like, everything's going the way that it's been going. And you're like, okay, he talks too much, but there was some laughs. Wait, number 8 is what? But no, it's still cool, you guys. When I was in high school, I was a horrible hypocrite. I was having a lot of fun, but I got completely saved. I became a born-again Christian so that I could have sex with this beautiful cheerleader. You know, I have no excuse other than teenage hormones are a terrible force, and I sincerely apologize to women for male hormones, because I'm a nice guy. I was then. I was a nice guy. My parents raised a nice guy. I'm respectful of people, especially a woman that I'm with, especially a woman that I'm having sexual congress with. I'm respectful. I'm reciprocal. Are you okay? What can I do for you? I'm a good guy in the grand scheme of things. The shit that I did as a teenager, and I can recognize it now, that I'd be like, look at those fucking poots hanging off your chest. How do I get my mouth on them? And I was in a long con. Be like, hi, I'm Nick. I think we're gonna be in band together. 10 weeks. And there's no question. It was just like, oh, those, I have to get those tits. What do? And so, I set my sights on this beautiful, incredible, charismatic cheerleader, and I got saved. Without irony, like, I wasn't cognizant of if you had asked me, if you jumped me into the future and said, were you full of shit? I would have said, well, yeah. But I was in for a penny, in for a pound. Like, I didn't hesitate. I cried. I went down in front of everybody and, like, got saved. And then we started fucking like crazy. I was like, yeah, I fucking love being a born-again Christian. Just as I suspected I might. And I have to tell you guys, you're at the right age. If you have not tasted the fucking savory goulash of Christian guilt, leave now. Go find the Christian Youth Center and get started. Because pull up a seat to that table. The secret ingredients are Christian guilt and sinful anticipation. Every night we would pray for the strength to resist, and then we would fuck like demons, like teenage demons. Then we would cry. Then we would pray that tomorrow night we would have the strength to resist this delicious carnal knowledge. But here's the thing, being a born-again Christian is the greatest cover you can have. But you gotta go whole hog. You have to pray. I'm from a family of 6. We already say grace. This is my dad's grace. It's charming. You guys, come on in. Time for dinner. Everybody good? Thank you, God, for happy hearts, for rain and sunny weather. Thank you for the food we eat and that we are together. Amen. Every night that was our grace, and eventually we were allowed to take turns saying it. And this is what you got to do if you want to play this game. At age like 15, I was like, okay, you guys, can I say something? Our grace needs to be more profound. We need to, do you guys even know my Jesus? You have to go there. You have to witness to your family and scold your fucking saint-like parents that their brand of Christianity is not cutting it. But then, if you want to say go to Jesus camp in Wisconsin for 3 weeks, at the age of 16, can you imagine saying that to your parents? Like, hey, Lynette and I want to go to Jesus camp for 3 weeks. We want to drive one of your vehicles. I'm 16. I just got my driver's license. 5-hour drive. What are your parents going to say? Very funny. You're going to go to lawnmower camp in the yard. Get out of here, joker. My parents said, I think that sounds great. I don't know what we did right with this one, mister. You guys have fun. You be careful. And we did. We went to Jesus camp for 3 weeks. And we took part. You have to walk the walk. We did the Jesus potato sack race, the Jesus log roll, the Jesus hammer throw. That was my fucking event. They say one of mine is still going. Over the upper peninsula of Michigan, late at night it can be seen. There it goes, that Christian boy's hammer. Some throw. That's what people in Michigan are like. Yes. We did. We took part in all of the Jesus activities. Then we went and 69'd in the woods for 3 hours. You guys are young. Some of you may not have gotten to 69ing yet. Get there. Guess what's pleasurable? Rubbing your face in the juices of a person's crotch. If you can do it in Wisconsin mud and leaves, lap that shit. That mud is clean. Jesus fever, catch it. Terrible. We would 69 in the woods. We would go get cleaned up and then go down by the lake and sit around the campfire with the other children and sing Jesus is the rock and he rolls my blues away. Jesus is the rock and he rolls... I gotta get the chords for that. What am I thinking? I remember this from that lakeside. I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul rejoice. Take joy, my King, in what you hear. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. Now, imagine a bunch of fucking teenagers harmonizing on that shit. A lake. The counterpoint is so delicious. My girlfriend's fucking cum glazed at lower abdomen. Singing to Jesus. This is a great country. I have apologized. But I mean, yes, I was absolutely hypocritical. But we were together for 4 years. We did this, and we had a great relationship because we respected each other. We cared for one another, even though I ended up not being the ideal Christian and maybe straying from the path eventually. When you get down to the root of it, it doesn't matter what the church says or what anybody's rules are. Our bodies were telling us to enjoy each other, and we did, and we took care of each other, and we had a great time, and we learned to have a healthy relationship. And so, yes, I can look at it mathematically and be like, maybe you were full of shit, just a little bit. But ultimately, it was age like 15 to 18. And I think it ended up being a lot more healthy than a lot of like relationships that play by the rules. So, suck it. Father Tony. You gotta be careful which Father Tony you say that to. Number 8, Jesus. Number 9, use intoxicants or continue to use intoxicants. Here's the thing. Intoxicants get a bad rap because you don't be stupid. Don't misuse intoxicants. You know, if you have a problem, then don't use intoxicants. If you are depressed, you know, if you're unemployed and you go buy a 12-pack, that's depression. If you have a job and you get off a shift at the lumber mill and go get a 12-pack, that's fucking America. I love that deal when you come of age, and it sounds like a Ron Swanson joke, but legitimately, I was probably 12. The first time, you know, and I was like the oldest son of my whole big family on the farm and whatnot. The first time that I like split a shitload of firewood with an axe and a sledgehammer and wedges, maybe a 3-hour shift, my dad came out and gave me a beer. And it was, I gotta shoot this scene someday, because it was wordless, but we both knew the entire script. You work like a man, you get a fucking beer. And I was like, yeah. I'm gonna split some more firewood, Dad. My dad was like, goddamn right. That beer is good, isn't it? You're busy. I love that. I love that. I don't like to. I get antsy on vacation. Like if I go lay on the beach or do something where you lay around and then you drink. To me, I can do that for like a day or 2 days. It's fun and like this is crazy. I'm doing no work and I had 2 margaritas. Insane. But like day 3, I'm like, okay, this is not gonna cut it. I need to get something done. It's my affliction. Even if it's reading a book or just or go out and like do something, go for a hike, do something that's vacation-y but still requires effort. Then I can have a fucking drink because I feel so much better at the end of. I love working at my shop. My muscles are tired. A long sweaty day. I'm covered in sawdust. Man, I can't wait to sit down. And that first beer, that first cold beer, tastes like the jizz of the Lord. Which has got to be the most magnificent beverage, right? I don't understand why that's not discussed more often. That luminous, imagine the pearly mead. The beverage of glory. That's what that first beer tastes like. Hard work makes your drink taste so much better. No shit. Of course, beer and wine, the workhorses, Mary Jane, the other workhorse. Beautiful, beautiful Mary Jane. Opiates, nitrous, pork cracklings. You get tripping on that shit. You're doing it right. They're great. Now, here's the thing about intoxicants, though. You can experience some of the most beautiful, joyous, hilarious moments of your life with the aid of intoxicants. But that's if you use them correctly. Much like religion, the opiate of the masses, you can use them like an asshole and ruin it for the rest of us who just wanted to get high and go outside and look at a maple leaf. be peaceable in your intoxicant use. If you're gonna get stupid, be smart about it. If you're gonna get really stupid, which often I did in college, that was part of college, was like, away from my parents, I need to explore the limits of how stupid I like to get. And I did, and I was like, oh, I like to get pretty fucking stupid. Turns out, but I had some good friends who had been there before me, who had been stupid for a couple of years, and they said, listen, the way to get stupid and stay out of jail and stay safe is to make a plan. So we're gonna get really fucking stupid this weekend, but we're gonna be safe about it. We're not gonna get in any motor vehicles, we're not gonna go anywhere where we could hurt people. We're gonna surround ourselves with pillows and Play-Doh. And we're gonna queue up the Sgt. Peppers and put Akira in the DVD, in the VHS player. 88. And then we had an amazing time going out of our minds. But we were totally safe because we made a plan. Make a plan so that nobody gets hurt so that you can do it again next weekend. You know, it's, don't overdo it. Like, I would hate to ever contribute to anybody having a bad time or getting in trouble, or anybody having, getting into a bad habit of using intoxicants. Of course, don't do that. But if a couple of beers make you feel good, just stay out from behind the wheel. And maybe have a couple of beers and go to church. You're not going to hurt anybody there. It's number 9. Oh man, I got a song. Sometimes you can combine intoxicants and religion for an especially far-out trip. Some years ago, this beautiful young lady exploded onto the pop country Christian scene with her nauseating hit song, Jesus Take the Wheel. And everyone loved this song, and I was like, that is insane, this song is terrible. It has a terrible message. It is an idiotic, anti-Christian message. And people are like, what are you talking about? I say, well, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this song, but it's about a young lady who's on her way home to Cincinnati for Christmas to see her mommy and daddy. Her baby's in the back seat. Things are not going great for our protagonist. She's got a lot on her mind, and she's not paying attention when suddenly her car hits some ice on the highway and begins to skid. What does Carrie Underwood suggest you do? Throw your hands off the wheel and exclaim, Jesus, which I'm assuming she's referring to Jesus Christ in the Christian Son of God, who's not there. Like he's not actually going to steer, regardless of your faith. Jesus, take the wheel. I can't do this on my own. I'm just suggesting you better fucking do it on your own, Carrie. Your child is in the vehicle. What a terrible message. State troopers across America have reported so many young women careening into highway medians during the winter where they're like, I'm so sorry, I was listening to Carrie Underwood. I've got nothing bad to say about prayer. Prayer is great, all sorts. Maybe try praying while you turn into the fucking skid. And that is why she and I are in a feud. I did think her Sound of Music was fantastic. I really did. It's a great musical. So anyway, I've written my own version of that song. I think you'll find it a little more powerful. I
was hauling ass away from that church in Cincinnati when lo, I saw a fellow with his thumb out for a hitch. I rolled the dice and picked him up 'cause I was feeling chatty. And there sat the Prince of Peace himself, riding bitch. He said, my bro, the time is nigh for you and me to get high. He fired up a J and said, it's time to fly. He got so much smoke, would have made Galactus, eater of planets, choke. I saw Jesus take the weed, you're the Lord on high. And you just seem like an awesome guy. Is this Maui Wowie, or is it Humboldt Kush? He said, no, I call this burning bud. We was burning bud. He said, I'm the Messiah, my brother, and I can barely cope with the flock in church praying out their money for hope. I'd like to slap that Pope, wash his pie hole out with soap, and hang his lying ass from the belfry rope. 'Cause you don't need to pay no preacher if you want to call me teacher. All you need is a stanky bag of dope. Hit this bowl. I saw Jesus give the finger to the highway patrol. In a nutshell, he said, I'm no longer in the wine and bread that church folk think is their salvation. No, instead I bleed in every tasty bud of weed. It's my new form of transubstantiation. Now, buddy, here's my wallet. Run in that store and fetch me some whatchamacallits. Jesus, take the weed. I'll smoke it the whole day through. And I'll do it in remembrance of you. We made footprints on the sand. Then Jesus ripped a hit off a bomb and told me to come to Conway tonight and sang you this. Then Jesus cleaned the screen. Thank you. I've gone on way too long. Thank you for your kind indulgence. I'm gonna wrap it up somewhat briefly with my 17 subpoints. Proper tool sharpening and maintenance. You know how to keep your steel sharp, you fucking got it made, ladies and gentlemen. You've been incredibly generous. Let's review and put a cap on this bitch. Number one, engage in romantic love, which will give you many opportunities to say please and thank you, and carry a handkerchief. Eat red meat, perhaps make that part of your discipline when you get a hobby. Go outside, on your way there, avoid the mirror. Maintain a relationship with Jesus Christ, preferably while using intoxicants. All of which add up to number 10. Tip number 10, paddle your own canoe. Thank you very much. Life is like a river. The thought of watching it pass me by causes me to shiver. So I grab life by the balls. I got some advice to deliver. Get off your caboose, paddle your own canoe. Take the road less traveled, says Robert Frost. Keep your stone rolling so it don't accumulate no moss. Leave the faint of heart sucking on your exhaust. Live a little life, paddle your own canoe. Don't while away masturbating in the ditches. Put your tackle away and hitch up your britches. Then provision that boat with several pulled pork sandwiches. Whole hog. Indulgent savory meat stuffs, paddle your own canoe. Young Teddy Roosevelt was a weak little puss, but he exercised and became quite an ornery cuss, till he could whoop a bear and also Cuba without a fuss. By God, number 26 paddled his own canoe. Might have mentioned Jesus Christ himself got high in my van. I told him I wouldn't go to church and he shook my hand. He said, my son, just let me run inside and use the can. Number 2, then let's get some Doritos and paddle your sweet canoe. What would Jesus do? Paddle my goddamn canoe. Thank you.
Gracias.